Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday Night's Paranormal Question of the Day. We'll be right back right after a short intro.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Question of the Day. We do live podcasts with live guests, live paranormal investigations as well. We do product reviews, so sit back, enjoy the channel, get popcorn, get a soda, and I'll see you soon.
And we are back. I hope everybody's having a good Monday. I am tired and shorted out after a long day of work, a 10-hour day. I got it all week, so I'm going to be blistered all week. But anyway, so tonight we have Mr. Ryan C. Jones, and hopefully you guys should know him pretty well. He's got a podcast of his own. It's the Freaking Awesome Paranormal Show. And he also does a lot of stuff with the Cabin on 360. So get to know him and all about paranormal stuff. So, Ryan, how are you doing?
I am doing just fine. Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. I definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. I always like having other podcasters on because it makes it so much easier to do stuff and talk about stuff because we one the same. We do it all the time. You've been doing it just for 10 years, you just told me. So you've been in the game for a while. So, yeah, I since 2019 here, I've been doing it. So, and yeah, it takes a while to get used to, in the groove and stuff like that. And I'm trying to wake myself up with a Pepsi, and he's got tea. So
I'm hardcore over here, drinking tea over here. Hardcore. Not hard tea. It's regular tea. It's like sleepy time tea over here. So yeah, I'm completely hardcore, crazy.
So other than that, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those days. I'm going to be out in space a little bit.
You know what? I know those days, and especially it's hard when you have a show to do, and you're like, oh God, I've got to start. I've got to talk. I've got to be coherent, and I could barely put a thought together. I've had those days before. I'm like, I really hope our guests can talk because it's worse. It's terrible when you get someone who is, I guess, nervous, and they just give like one word answers, and you're like, okay, how am I going to talk to this person for an hour? Like, I've gone through all my questions in the first 10 minutes because I don't know what to do. You just keep looking at the time, like, okay, 9:05. Feel like an hour goes by. Okay, shoot, 9:10. You're like, oh my geez. So trust me, I know what it's like to be tired.
Oh yeah. Usually I'm only working 8 hours, and I would have like my 2-3 hour nap before and still have like 2-3 hours to be wide awake. But this time it's like 6:54. Okay, I have to get up and get ready and find clothes and get the thing going. So but anywho, so Ryan, want to tell the good folks as to who you are and how did you get into the podcasting game, nonetheless the paranormal game?
All right, well, I'm Ryan. My name is Ryan Jones. I started in the paranormal back in 2012. I was one of those people who watched the Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters all the time. And I would post about it on Facebook. And my wife at the time, her uncle Tommy, was starting a paranormal group with Howie, Ed Odell. And he asked Shannon if her and I wanted to join his paranormal team. Of course, I was super excited about it. And so we joined All Seeing Paranormal Society and really started investigating in 2013. So we had our meetings in 2012. We had our first paranormal investigations in 2013. Which is funny because when I was a kid, I did not like the paranormal at all. Really just scared the crap out of me. Like I was the kid who slept with his door open and lights on because just the unknown scared me. And we my mom would watch these movies, ghost movies and stuff, scared the crap out of me. And so I never thought I'd actually be into the paranormal like I am. So fast forward, we had joined the ASPS. We do a few investigations. My first real investigation was at this plantation in Powhatan, Virginia, built in the late 1700s, called Belle Nemus Plantation. It was my dad's ex-girlfriend's, well, girlfriends at the time, but his ex-girlfriend's house. And it was just so active. It was more active than I thought a place could actually be. We had so many EVPs, so much stuff happened. It really blew my mind. And that really was where once you hear an EVP for yourself, that's when you know it's real. I could watch TV shows all the time, and I could enjoy them, but you never 100% sure that the paranormal exists until you actually get something. And it was like the gift that kept on giving as far as paranormal locations. But around 2013, that's when I met Dennis Eslog, and he invited Howie and I to come on his show, Full Spectrum Radio, to talk about Belle Nemus Plantation and what we were doing at ASPS. And so I didn't know about podcasting really. I knew about it, but it wasn't like anything I was really paying attention to. And so Howie asked me if I wanted to come on the radio with him, not knowing it was Blog Talk Radio. I thought it was actual, going on the radio, like turn the dial and stuff. So I'm like, oh shit, going on the radio. Because back in 2013, it's a big deal to go on the radio, talk about like, why would they want to talk to us? I'm thinking like some AM station wanted to talk to us about our adventures at Belle Nemus. I'm like, okay, kind of confused about why would he want to talk? But I'm like, all right. But I was super nervous because I'd never been interviewed before. But so we did the show and it was fine. It was good. A quick, like 15 minute interview. And that's how I became friends with Dennis. We started, hanging out and doing stuff, and he was a part of Full Spectrum Radio, which was a network on Blog Talk Radio, and he had been doing shows Monday nights from 9 to 11, and then Wednesday nights from 9 to 11, and he'd been doing it for a couple of years, and he had been kind of getting burned out having two shows. So he put a post on it. He was like, would you want to, does anybody want to take, not ask me specifically, but put a post, would anybody want to take my 2-hour time slot on Mondays? And at the time I had a friend named Rhonda Hare, no, the different Rhonda. And I had asked her if she wanted to do the show with me, and she was like, yeah, we'll do it. It'd be fun. So I'm like, I put the message in. I was like, yeah, I'll do the show on Monday nights. Of course, at the time, again, I am not a very extroverted person. Okay. I get really nervous, and I'm like, okay, this show will last about a month tops. It's one of those things where like, I'll do it and, I'll get burned out by it, and it'll last a month and I'll be done. So we start the show, and of course, Rhonda's schedule doesn't allow her to do it. So I end up having to find a new co-host for it. And it's been, like I said, been going ever since. So I didn't even think it was going to last even a month. But like you said, once you get into it, man, it's hard to stop, because you get the guests and and it's becomes a part of your life where it's like, oh, when you don't do it, you feel like you're missing something. And I've had some really incredible co-hosts throughout the years. I started out with my friend Amber, who was a part of All Seeing Paranormal Society, and then my friend Kristen did it. She was also part of ASPS, and then Holly Mullins
Yep, I
was
know her.
for like a year and a half, and then we we kind of broke away from URN. We decided that the owner of the URN network wanted to move on, do something else, and he had asked if someone would take over the network. And so I asked Holly if she wanted to do that with me, and she was like, yeah. So we had all these plans. We're like, okay, we're going to take the shows and kind of like shorten them to an hour, and we had 2-hour time blocks. So 1 hour, one show, 1 hour, another show the next hour, so we get more shows on. And we had all these ideas, and the guy wanted us to pay the money to keep the network going, but he wanted us to keep the network the way he had it. So basically, we're paying
his rules.
Yeah, his rules, follow his rules, and don't change anything. I'm like, why would we do that? If I'm paying the money, I'm gonna do it the way I want it done.
Right.
So that's when we kind of broke away. We started the Vibe Radio Network, which was we booked it as a place for anybody who wanted to do a show, who could have the commitment and wanted to show what they could do, and it had a sense of wonder, and they could come out and have a show, and it lasted for a while. But as all things go, it's tough to keep a network together. It's tough to because people go on with their lives. Like every person wants to do this, constantly every week. Stuff happens, and it just got to the point where it got to be too tough to maintain all of the all the shows and stuff, because then you don't want to be an asshole and ask them, why aren't you coming on the show? And
right.
It's not like they were getting paid to do it. It was all volunteer stuff. So it comes to a point where it's like, what can I do really to make people stay? So, and it got to be too hard. So I ended up just playing solo for a while. I had a few shows on the network that stayed on, but after a while it was just,
got to be too much.
Yeah. And I definitely appreciate every show that came on and gave us a chance and joined the network. And the last show that was part of the network was Vibe Time with Jerry. And she still has a show. She does her show, and we just kind of went our separate ways as far as podcasts. We're still friends and all that stuff.
Right.
I went solo for a while, as far as not having a network. And then Rhonda Harris joined the show, and she's been a great co-host, and she's definitely helped me out a lot. And last year is when I joined the Rift Nation Network. Howie Odell, who was like a brother to me, he's he runs the network, and he was telling me, he used to do his show from the cabin, and I do a show with him called What's Going Down podcast. And I was over there with him, and I was like, what do you think I should join the network? He was like, yeah, I think it would do you a lot of good. And it really has, because they really do a lot. They do a great job of getting the word out about the show. And it's nice to have people working with you, and where you don't have to do everything yourself, and they already have a built-in audience. So I'll definitely have people who watch my show every week and stuff, which is pretty cool. And so yeah, it's been great. It's been a great 10 years doing the show, and that's the story of the podcast anyways.
Yeah.
Sorry if I rambled on.
Well, I mean, it gets to be that way, and I totally understand how that goes and stuff because it's like, I was into the paranormal, all that stuff, and it's just never thought I would be in the podcasting game either until I met Cynthia and Roland Gerodius from Raven Rose Paranormal, and they had their shows a lot and stuff like that. And I just decided, we got a good friendship going on and stuff. Hey, Penny, how you doing? And
Hello.
so we became really good friends, and he started and I started talking a lot more about shows and podcasting and all that stuff. And before I know it, he sucked me into a podcasting show with him. And it's like, oh man, I was so nervous. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's start this out. And like I said before the show, I was like, I used to drink Corona like during the show to help me calm my nerves down and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And because it's like I didn't know how I was going to do. And the next thing you know, we're talking 2 hours before the show, do the show, 2 hours after the show of how it went, what we could do better. So
That's how it is.
it was a very long period, but it was all worth it because it taught me so much how to do the stuff, how to be kind of structured in doing a show. And I just when he passed in 2020, I continued on the show with his wife Cynthia,
Mhm.
and so she's been doing stuff, and now she has a new boyfriend now, and so now they're starting to do shows a little bit together. So they still want me part of it, which is fun because it's like I get to know him more too. So we're just I'm sitting back a little bit waiting to see when they want to get going again on that stuff. But yeah, it does hit you pretty hard when you start out and it's like, okay, what am I going to say? How's what's the right time to jump in? Waiting for the guests to come in, which I totally appreciate everybody coming in and in chat, and because that's what makes up the show is the people in chat. You
Yeah,
know,
it really does. Without, the people watching the shows and, adding to the conversations, it's, it really helps the show out a lot when we
it
have
does.
people in the chat talking. It is really nice to have people excited
Right.
about it, about the shows and being a part of the
Hey, Shannon.
community. Hey Shannon, in a whole as a whole. And it's really cool that people take the time to come up, listen to this show or listen to my show, or
Hmm.
and I always get. I was telling you before the show started. I always get nervous before the show. It's all, and I don't know why, because I've been doing it for so long, but it's the anticipation of it, I think.
Right.
And uh, you
And you
know,
never know what kind of guests you're going to get.
yeah, exactly. But once the show starts, it it's a lot better. And it can go back to listen to the shows that I did 10 years ago, and it's a completely different type of show.
Oh
The
yeah.
show has evolved from when I started
Hmm.
to what it is now. Because when I was younger, it was anything goes pretty much. 2 hours to fill.
Right.
And so we talked about absolutely everything, especially when it was Holly and I. I mean, we do shows about X-rated stuff, because it was kind of like the Wild West almost, because it was blog talk.
Right.
It wasn't like we were on YouTube or whatever. We had rules, or we were to follow. Don't say this or that. We
Right.
we we talked about everything under the sun, and once we got, I guess, older, and say I can't say mature more, because that's really hasn't happened yet. But
I don't think we ever mature,
no,
really.
I don't want to lie to you guys. I'm still the same person. But it's just we went in a kind of different direction. Holly has gone more spiritual,
Yep.
and she started her own show and stuff. And so then I moved on to kept doing the freaking awesome paranormal show. She went away from the paranormal.
Yep.
So,
Yep. I follow her once in a while. I'll hop into one of her shows on Facebook once in a while. I know she was doing stuff with Dallas, and I don't know if
yeah.
they're separate, broke away now, and Dallas probably does his own thing. But it's
She's awesome. She's
what's that?
she's awesome. I'll always love Holly to death. We've been together since I guess 2014. We've been around. She came in the summer. I started the show in January 2014. She started in the summer, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a lot of cool stuff that she talks about, and it just really hones in on a lot of stuff that makes you really think about, the spiritual stuff. Talk about the paranormal stuff, back then
Yeah.
when she was in the paranormal stuff, and it's just it really it helps you understand a lot of stuff that you don't understand, and that's I like that. I mean, it's a very diverse person in the paranormal field that was, and now being more spiritual, which also helps her in her journeys. So,
And she's got that voice, that down home country mama voice that
yeah,
puts anybody at ease.
right, absolutely.
When I had her, say I had her her team. I guess Black Mountain Paranormal back when she had a paranormal team, and as soon as I got off the phone with this back, I had been flying solo as a host for about a couple months. And I was burned. I was almost thinking about quitting the show because I just couldn't do 2 hours every night by myself. And did the show with her. And I messaged Hallie. I'm like, dude, I think I might ask her to be a co-host. She was like, you should do it. So I messaged her that night and asked if she wanted to come on the show. And she was like, hell yeah. So sorry, I had to add that little bit of a nugget in there. But yeah, I knew.
Oh, we definitely got parental advisory, so we're good.
As soon as I heard, we had that rapport on the show, I knew I had to get her on.
So let's talk about paranormal wise as a younger child. Did you have any experiences as a younger child with the paranormal, like any paranormal events that really kind of stood out, that kind of like shook you to the core? And I used to be afraid of cemeteries, and now I'm not. So movies still scare me once in a while, but not too bad.
I used to hold my breath when I went by cemeteries because I figured if the ghosts thought I was dead, they wouldn't come haunt me. In my head, I'm like, well, if I'm not breathing, I must be dead. So the ghost will think I'm dead. Like they have like a ghost, like a breathing radar, oh, there's a live one driving by. Let's go haunt him. So that was my theory when I was growing up. Like, hey, just hold my breath and I'll be fine. No ghosts are going to haunt me. So the weird thing that happened to me, which wasn't scary, but just weird. I had been watching the movie the miniseries North and South with my dad. It was that we were downstairs in the basement, and it was one of the episodes. And I remember going upstairs and going to bed, and I remember waking up middle of the night. So my bed is kind of faces the wall, faces this way, and I have a desk going across the window, right in front of the window. So I wake up and it was a full moon, so the light was coming through the window, and I see on my desk these two little figures about yay big, about the size of what you think a leprechaun would be, dancing on my desk. One had like a hat, like a brim hat, and like a scabbard. And another one, the other one had like a ball gown, like a big like Southern belle type gown, and they were dancing on my desk. And my first thought was, what the hell's going on? I wasn't scared or anything like that, but I was just like, when you see something and your mind doesn't recognize what it is. So it's more like a what the hell is going on
Right.
moment. You don't know to be scared
Right.
because you're so surprised it's actually happening. I rub my eyes. They're still there dancing. Then I go right back to sleep. Didn't, and it always stuck with me. It never struck me as scary, which is weird because back then, I told you back then, I was so scared of ghosts. So like, I got a book, The Ghost of Richmond. My mom got me when I was a kid that I would
Mm-hmm.
not keep in my room because I was scared the ghost were going to come out of the book and come get it. That was my my thoughts as a like 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So when you see that something like that dancing on your desk, you think, oh, you freak you out. It wasn't scary. It was just like, okay, not sure what this is, but I'm going back to sleep.
Right. Right. I mean, it's when you're a young child, you could see everything and just pops out you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get your teenage years, it's more or less okay. Does it stay with you or does it go away? And that's what I've learned doing these shows and talking to different people, and that's what I've more and more of what has come across early age of teen or 5 through 10 years old, and then 13. It's like almost they just kind of put it in the closet and back of their mind. Then but then there's some that stays with them. So yeah, it's a very daunting thing. My thing is with cemeteries, I just didn't like the feel when you
Mm-hmm.
drove past them. I didn't like the vibe they were getting off of them. Even just going to a funeral and going to the viewing,
Oh my god, I hate that.
that itself still bugs me because I still feel like I'm going to go up and look at this person and they're just going to sit straight up at you and look at you. And I'm like, so I'm very quick when I go to a viewing. I'm very quick. Is it okay? All right, let's keep going.
I don't like the concept of the viewing because I don't like the fact that the last image I have of my mother was when she was in the coffin, or the people like my grandparents, or I just don't like that idea of I don't want that to be the last thing I see,
Mm-hmm.
and it really bothers me that it's like, well, you have to go to viewing. Why do I need to go?
Right.
What it's because it sticks with you for a while. Once you see
It
that,
does.
it's hard to get it out of your head, and you don't want that to be the last thing you see of that person. My grandma passed away a couple years ago, and I didn't go. I didn't go inside because I just didn't want it to be the last thing I saw of her.
Right.
And maybe if I got there kind of late, but maybe if I'd gotten there earlier, it would have been like you go by a car crash, you can't help
Mhm.
but look.
Right.
But yeah, it's just I don't like the concept of viewings and cemeteries. They can be scary, especially the ones with the old Gothic tombstones, the big ones with the statues that are all like old looking and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, they can be scary, especially when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Now they feel more peaceful to me than when I was younger because
Oh yeah. I walk through them a lot and just kind of
Mhm.
look at them, and I'm by myself, and it doesn't bother me because I go for walks all the time. And this that we have here in town, it's right off on a lake. So it's like a lake road, and then behind it there's an actual trail that is actually supposed to be haunted itself. Not unless they say the cemetery is haunted, they say, but the trail itself is haunted too. So I've walked through there at night, and it is a definite different kind of feel at night than it is during the day.
Yeah.
But now your senses and your feelings are all heightened because now you're it's nighttime. It's different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, it
so
goes. So when you go there at night, you know the place is haunted, right?
you know,
Like the trail. If it was a different trail that you didn't know was haunted, would you still feel the same way?
it all depends on the feel.
Mhm.
The mood, how
Yeah.
mood, certain things jerk your mood in a different kind of way. You know, we have this one. It's actually it's a hidden mental institution cemetery, which
Oh God.
is yeah. So it's like it's a park called Asylum Point Park, and it's named Asylum Point because it's by a mental institution, which is
I
just
wonder why that was named that.
right,
Get to
right.
the point. That's right.
And what's weird about it is because they actually have like Boys and Girl Scouts area next to that part in the back where they would have them camp. So
Oh
it's
wow.
like, this is kind of weird that you're letting people camp back here for Boys and Girl Scouts and stuff. Um, Not to mention that if you just walk up the road, you're going to walk right into the institution area. Um, but yeah, I mean, going through that night, I mean, we have videos with being in small town paranormal and walk through there, and there's bodies back there. There's was it 750 some bodies back there.
Oh, so
There's
you
no
know.
tombstones, and it's just all flat. They have their numbers in the grass, which are being sunken in, so you can't even see those the markers. So, but yeah, they got everything in there, like babies, people from the war, people that were at the institution. Um, it was back in the day; it was a pretty big place, and now it's kind of shrunken to be like a small area, but it's still relatively big. Um, but yeah, it's stuff like that. It's just like you know, you dare yourself. In fact, I was actually going to mention a text to a friend of mine from small towns, like, "Hey, we should take the four of us, go back out there, and one of us each at a time go back there by ourselves for a half
Mhm.
hour, 45 minutes, and then come back and see
I
what."
mean, yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be great. Like do like a live or something, and each person take the camera with them during the live, and you get kind of the feedback of what you're feeling during that. That'd be something. I think you'd get a lot of viewers for
I
that.
think so. It'll be interesting and see what you feel. I mean, we've seen a lot of different stuff out there. Been touched, shoved, stuff like that. And it's a one big giant great opening of a
Mhm.
area. So it's a good place if you want to watch stars. You could just sit there and look at the stars.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah. I mean, probably middle of nowhere
yeah,
type of deal. And I guess it's different when you walk out there during the day
oh yeah,
compared to at night. When we go out in the woods behind the cabin on 360, it's completely different. We have all these paths marked out throughout the behind the cabin, and it's a completely different feeling when you're walking out there during the day compared to when you're walking out there at night. Now I don't know if it's just because we know there's stuff out there,
hmm
um, but it's definitely very claustrophobic when you feel more surrounded when you're
right,
in the woods at night, especially because of all the stuff that people have gotten out there. Um, Shadow figures,
hmm
full body apparitions, lots of residual stuff, cannon fire, musket fire, weird laughter, screams have been caught out there. And when you can see what you're walking the woods during the day, you can see everything. You don't feel like you're being watched as much, even though it's still out there. And we get stuff during the day out there too.
hmm
Uh, but at night, you definitely feel like you're being watched when you're out. in the woods out there. And plus, it's a Civil War battlefield, actual Civil War battlefield, which is they're very hard to get on to, because a lot of them are part of the National Park Service and stuff, and it's hard to get on to do a paranormal investigation because you've got to ask permission, to go on there. And a lot of times they don't really like that. You can go to we're near Cold Harbor and Gaines Mill battlefields, which were the two really big battles. Cold Harbor was the bloodiest per capita battle. It basically meant more people were killed in a short amount of time. Gettysburg is more famous, but I think actually more people died. And my friend Dennis, he's in the chat. He knows the history of the location. But so we're surrounded by Civil War battlefields, and you can take your recorder onto the battlefield if you go for a walk, but you'll get noise, people walking around. You really can't.
It's a lot harder to do that.
Yeah, it's harder. The public space. Oh yeah, Cold Harbor exceeded 80% death rate. There you go. If you come to our location, you get to spend the night at a Civil War battlefield all night long.
Hey, Dennis.
And, look at the Battle of Bethesda Church. It is definitely a big battle. A lot of stuff happened, and it's definitely a lot of people were killed or captured on or around our property.
Wow. Very interesting. And you know what? Let's tear into that before we get into more paranormal stuff. Let's tear into the Cabin on 360 and let's talk about that.
Yes.
So how did the name come about of Cabin on 360, and what's all really going on there? What's haunted in the building? And then we just talked a little bit about the grounds, but you can also elaborate a little bit more with Dennis is in chat here, so he could probably pick up a little bit of the stuff too.
All right. I'll start at the very beginning. When I was younger, I don't remember my age, but I was probably a teenager. I was having dinner with my family, and my dad started talking about the time that he went to a property we had, and a young girl was murdered. And he told me that didn't know the details of it, and maybe he did, but didn't tell me the details of it. But he had told me that young girl was shot. Didn't tell me the age or anything. But that my grandfather's workers had sent my grandfather had sent two workers out to do some bush hogging behind this house in Mechanicsville. And they had found a girl's body in the refrigerator box. And they had to hang on one second. I got my son singing back here. It's kind of distracting me. I'm gonna I'm gonna close the door real quick. All right. I'm gonna close the door, okay? Sorry, he likes to sing when he's playing games, so it's like trying to concentrate. So they find the body in the refrigerator box, and this is like late 1970s. So they radio the office. They call the office, and my dad was the only one at the office at the time. My grandfather not come in because he lives on a farm like 45 minutes away. So he went up and met the police officers, and he helped moved her body into the body bag. And so fast forward a few years later, and I'm a part of ASPS at the time, and we are very started to bring in more members to the team. And I remembered that we have this house, this property in Mechanicsville where that young lady was murdered. So I talked to Howie. I'm like, all right, well, I have this house here. I don't know if it's haunted or not. I'd done some work in the house before I joined ASPS. My dad would send me over to the brick rancher to vacuum the water. If the basement would flood, sometimes the sump pump would work, so the basement would flood. I have to take the shop vac and get the water out. And I knew the story of what had happened, but I'd always be like, okay, don't bother me talking to the ghost. I didn't know if it was haunted or not, but I figured I would, to be on the safe side, I would just say, hey, don't mess with me, just doing my work. I never had anything happen to me. So I told Howie, I'm like, all right, well, I have this property here. I don't know if it's haunted or not, but if you want, we can use it as, I got permission from my dad. If we want, we can use it as a training ground, like once a month until it gets rented again for the team. And my dad was like, go ahead. Cause he knew what I was doing, and he had no problem with it. Cause he was like, he didn't think it was haunted. So it was like, what harm could it do? So we go out there, and the first night we were going to investigate out there, I had a family dinner I had to go to, so I couldn't stay. And so I messaged Howie the next day and asked him how it went. And he told me that they're planning on being there all night long, probably from like 8 to like 2 o'clock in the morning, investigating. They pulled out, I think maybe an hour or two after they started the investigation. He told me basically the shit hit the fan pretty much right after they started. He said the medium started crying for no reason. Somebody got scratched. Another person got pushed down the stairs. A whole bunch of stuff. It got to the point where he said he had to pull the team because he didn't feel safe. Now, I was surprised because, I'd been in the house, I'd been in there by myself for, at least 2 or 3 hours cleaning up and doing stuff. I never had any problems.
Right.
But I believed him. I believed what he said. We didn't get to go back in until like maybe a year and a half later. And that's when I brought Dennis with me. And we had been talking. We would hang it. We do these fire pit sessions, and we've been talking about paranormal stuff. I'm like, you should come out to this house we have in Mechanicsville, this cabin. Back then it was just the rancher. We didn't really worry about the cabin too much, but you should come out to the rancher because I knew the rancher about the murder. So that's what I concentrated the most on. So he was like, oh man, I don't know. And so finally I got him to come out. I got the keys. I was able to go in. And so we get there and we walk through the front door. And the first thing he says to me after we walk in the front door is, this place, there's something in this house that wasn't human and never has been. And, hang on 1 second. The pizza's here.
Yep.
I'm gonna open the door real quick. To be continued. Yeah, how are you? Oh, have a good one. All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
Food's here, so the kids will be happy. I'll be eating here pretty soon. Anyway, so walk to the front door. First thing he says to me, something in this house is not human and never has been. Of course, that takes me aback. I'm like, oh, okay. We walk around the house and we walk to the basement. And while we were talking downstairs, we both heard an audible scream, like young female scream. And we both look at each other like, what the heck was that? It's like, and the funny part is, We have not heard that scream since that day. It almost felt like we were supposed to hear that.
Right.
Like, what are the chances are that we come in some random day in like June, whatever day we went there, and it happens to be the exact time that scream happened. I think we were meant to hear that scream.
Yep.
And so we both look at each other and like, all right, we need to start investigating this place. We took it that as a sign, very morbid sign, but a sign nonetheless. And so we started really getting hardcore into it. I got to give Dennis a lot of credit because he did a lot of research. He spent so much time at the county going through records, and we finally figured out that, the girl's name was Melissa. She was shot and killed by her 17-year-old half brother named Randy Lynn Elliott on October 4th, 1979. She was 12 years old.
Oh, geez.
And, yeah, she was raped and killed, raped and shot by her brother. And we go there every weekend, investigate. We started investigating the rancher, and then the cabin was empty. So we got the keys to the cabin and started investigating. We were like, okay, well, maybe the cabin has some stuff in it. So we started investigating the cabin to see if there's anything in there. Well, of course, there was stuff in the cabin, but it's completely different than the stuff in the rancher. The rancher is a lot darker. There's a lot of like negative energy inside of the rancher that people feel, but you go to the cabin, it's completely different.
Right.
Was a time when the ranch cabin was used as a brothel.
Oh, okay.
Like 80s, early 90s, the cops were brought in or came in because of they were bringing men in to satisfy the women. Lots of sexual stuff going on in the cabin, and we've gotten EVPs. Like basically, I got an EVP of a woman saying, "I'm naked," upstairs in the cabin. And the more I guess raunchier or dirtier the questions you ask, the more activity you get.
I could almost imagine. Come find me.
It's funny because it's just like I said, completely different energy. Like no one died in the cabin.
Yeah.
But it's so active.
Right.
It could have been maybe the land before it had some stuff. So there's people have seen like Dennis. He fell asleep. He had stayed after an investigation we had, and he didn't feel like driving home. And he had a sleeping bag, and he passed out upstairs in the loft area. And he said he woke up. He had had his phone hooked up to I guess Spotify or one of those different things, and the music had cut off, and he woke up to connect his phone back, and he said he looked up and he saw an old man standing over him, like not even like clear, just like a person. And he said he was going to reach for his weapon because he was like, nobody should be in the house because the door's locked. He shouldn't. He looked over to grab his gun, and there was no one there. So it's those stories you hear, man. We had a team come down from New Hampshire, drove 9 hours for an investigation, rented the house for the whole weekend, left after an hour. And drove back.
Wow.
And I talked to him. I'm like, dude, so what happened? And the guy was like, we weren't ready for what the property did to our team. They pretty much said the property had almost tore our team apart because just the way that made them feel. It was just too much for them. And so yeah, and it really surprises me like how much activity is on the property and try to put it into words. And it's hard to describe it to really make people understand. Every person who comes out to the cabin pretty much has got, their quote were, exactly. Every person who comes out to the cabin really underestimates the cabin, which is not something you definitely don't want to do, because there is so much stuff, and we're trying our hardest to keep it, because it's tough to run a paranormal location, and trying to get people to come out and investigate, because it takes money, and trying to compete with the bigger locations is difficult. We try to make it as affordable as possible.
Yep.
Like right now we're having our summer paranormal sale. Basically, you pay $300 Sunday through Friday. You'll get the house from 7 p.m. to 9 a.m. the next day, or $400 on Saturdays. And it's like we have these great locations, these great houses, super active, but we're really trying to get the word out about them. Because we're going against Pennhurst and all those other places which have
right,
all of the television backing and stuff like that. So it's $350 Sunday through Friday. Okay, sorry, $350 Sunday through Friday, but still a pretty good deal. You can't.
That's a damn good deal.
And the way Dennis took over the payments for the house, because Dad got to the point where it was just too much to keep the property on the books, and he's basically said, if we don't find somebody to take it over, we have to get our stuff out because they're going to sell the property. And Dennis said, basically, we can't have this happen. And so we took over the rent payments, and it's been tough because, again, we've got to get people to come out. That's the hard part, is getting people to come out. Before, when we had one or two teams come out a month, it was like, all right, well, whatever, it's fine. We really need to get the business going up. Yeah.
Which one is cheese?
I don't know. Go look.
Okay.
Just don't make a mess.
Okay.
And so that's what we've been trying to do. We have people come out. We have the team come out every Tuesday and Friday night to do a live, so to get the word out on TikTok. And like Dennis said, being haunted and active is one thing, but being known as active is the hard. Yeah, that's the hard part, getting the word out.
Yeah.
That's why we appreciate people like you having us on the show, and we try to put as much evidence out on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook as we can. The volunteers at the cabin do an absolutely amazing job getting the word out. And it's just a process.
Yes, absolutely.
If we had just been able to do this a few years earlier, when the paranormal boom was happening, I think it would have been a lot different. But now it's kind of coming down. That's why we're not charging an arm and a leg to come investigate out here, because we want to get the word out and get known as one of the most active paranormal locations in the state of Virginia, maybe even the country, compared to you can pay $1,000 to go to a big place and get a voice saying hi, and you get the same, pay $350, and you get the same voice of a ghost saying hi. It's all about the experience.
Right.
we
location
try to make it,
experience.
yes, we try to make it as
Um,
best experience as we can. He's done renovations on the house. He's made it more, more investigator friendly. He has
mhm,
a big screen TV. He's going to put cameras up so people can record the investigations and stuff once we get the money to do that. And like I said, he's been doing so much to get the word out, and it's we're trying to save not only the house and location, but also a piece of history. The battlefield where Bethesda Church took place as well. We've
mhm.
got a GoFundMe set up where we could donate to save the property. It's not just about, oh, we want to save it's a paranormal location. It's about saving history, saving a place where people can come and learn about the paranormal and also learn about history. And people
Right.
can, um, you know, people who are passionate about the paranormal can come out and learn and, hone their trade. And it would just be a shame for a place like this to go away. Because, you can only go to Penhurst so many times or go to Waverly Hills so many times.
Haven't been to either one.
It's the smaller, well, yeah, it's the smaller locations that keep the paranormal going. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, the
it's
prices is outrageous for those two.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I'm not trying to be like, oh well, they shouldn't, they shouldn't be drowned or whatever. But it's a competition. It sucks, but it is. Trying to
Yeah.
get the word out about our locations and every other smaller location out there. There are so many great locations to investigate, but if no one comes, eventually they're going to go away, and all they're going to have are the big ones that have been on TV.
Hmm. No, I get you. I get you. Totally get you on that aspect. 'Cause, I used to run a county jail as paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
I took it over from a couple other people that were doing it for a while, and then they started not having good faith in them, and then told me it's time for MGS to take over. So I took over for a few years, and I every time I could promote, I promote. I mean, that's the way it is. How you gotta do? You gotta promote it every weekend or
Mm-hmm.
every
Yeah.
whatever you can do to get your property out and about and stuff like that. And it worked out fine for a while. I mean, in fact, I was probably the only one that did as much promoting as anyone ever did because it was kind of a quiet place, but a very significant magnitude to the county, two counties or towns that are connected to it. And it was a very hush hush kind of thing. I don't know if you ever heard of Ed Gein. Um,
Yeah. The serial killer.
so,
Yeah.
yep, that was where he was jailed.
Oh,
So we
shit. So
had his
it's
spirit.
like, yeah, there's a right there. That's your
Yeah.
tagline right there. Like, for us for a while, Civil War Battlefield was, what we put out there, Kim investigate Civil War Battlefield. And it's for a while we couldn't really advertise as much as we'd like, because when we first started out, my family owns a property again, and he
Hmm.
wanted to sell, and he didn't like the idea of us advertising it as a paranormal location,
Hmm.
because he wanted to sell it, and he was like, "Oh, no one's going to want to buy it if they think it's a paranormal location." So we had to keep it under the radar. So we did a lot of like invest a lot of advertising on Facebook and stuff like that, only paranormal teams, where only it wouldn't get out to the general public that it was haunted. But we still
Yep.
do public investigations and stuff too. We'd raise money for charities, and pretty much whenever a public investigation, we'd give the money to different charities and stuff to get the word out about
Hmm.
the location. But now it's a lot easier to get the word out, so we can be more vocal about it. We are actually we're supposed to have Jack Osborne come out to film Portals to Hell
Mm-hmm.
at the cabin, and that would have been amazing
Right.
to have him come out, and we'd have been like, "Oh, Jack Osborne, investigator here." But Dad was still trying to sell it, and we couldn't get the permission for them to come out. So again, that kind of pushes us behind the wall a little bit, because we had an opportunity to have this famous person come out to investigate, and we weren't able to do that. But we've had like Ryan Buell came out from Paranormal Status come out to our place. We've had Sean Austin from the Demon Files come out a few times to investigate out there. And their Tennessee Race Chasers have come out. They're actually coming out in September again to investigate, to do an investigation out at the cabin. So whatever, every little bit helps.
Oh yeah. And they had their own show too.
Yeah. And talking to you and talking about the cabin on the shows and stuff like that is definitely a big help. So we really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what we should do for next podcast to talk about more in depth about the cabin on 360 is have you and Dennis come on together.
I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think Dennis would
Dennis remembers our last podcast we had. It was a couple of years ago. We had a podcast together, and things got a little crazy. So I need to get him back on, anyways.
yes, you need a part 2. We definitely need to make that happen.
Yeah,
like I said, he has been so amazing with everything he's done for the place, and we've definitely got a lot more stories to tell about the cabin in the last since. Yep, they're happy to join in. There we go.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll definitely do that. I'll set that up, and then we can maybe I don't know, see what my schedule looks like. We'll get something wrote up for that. So it'll be just the cabin on 360.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
We have, like I said, we've been doing this since probably 10 years. 10 years. So we started back 2015. It'll probably be 10 years next year. 2016 is when we started going out there. So 10 years next year. We've done this for 9 years. We have a lot of stuff. We're pretty much out there all the time. So we will definitely be a fun show.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. So
awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to promote smaller businesses like that, places like that, because you're right. The bigger locations get all their stuff from TV and all this and that, but then all the smaller locations, we don't get to hear much about. And that's the thing is we're the dark horses that have a lot of activity that go on, but then the rest of the world don't get to see it because, we're not able to put it on TV or at all.
Yeah. And
so
YouTube, like we have a lot of YouTubers who come out and investigate the cabin. They put their videos out, like Forgotten Explorations. They do a great job. They check it out. Definitely check out their YouTube channel. They've been out to the cabin 3 or 4 times, and they're great supporters of the cabin. We've had a few different teams come out, so we get a lot of play through YouTube and like Paraflix and stuff like that. I don't know if we'll ever actually get on like actual TV, but I think the way the world's going now, it's not as big as it once was, where it's like a bunch of
it has stayed down
all the time. It's gotten kind of
there are some people that have ruined it for others.
But the big ones, like Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. They stay mostly on the West Coast, and they're don't know if they'd ever come out. But we basically rely
I
mostly
wouldn't
on
have
YouTube.
him out there, though.
Well, yeah, but again, to get the word out about the place, we got to get who we can.
Yeah, exactly, and I get that. I've heard a lot of different things about GA, and they're not allowed back in certain locations because they've created more harm than good. So that's why I just Ghost Hunters should be right in a realm though, because they're all on the East Coast.
You would have been trying to get Ghost Hunters. I mean, as far as Ghost Adventures, that would be like if they ever approached us. I don't know what would happen if it actually did come to pass. Because again, if it meant keeping the property, get more people interested in the property. It's kind of like how much is it worth to have
give or
that?
Take.
Yeah, exactly.
Push pull.
So Dennis has talked to Jason Hawes from Ghost Hunters to come out and investigate, and he does a live feed every it's Monday or Tuesday, and we've had people flood the comments. You got to come to the cabin. You got to come to the cabin. So hopefully he'll come out. But then again, you never know, because you never know. It's as far as activity is concerned, we know it's haunted, but we get someone to come out, a big person to come out, and then nothing happens. You're like, oh shit, why isn't stuff happening when it's like? So it's
well, and that's a risk we take though when we go out to locations. You get it or you don't get it. Sometimes it takes, and what I've seen a trend too is that instead of going 1 day, we go 2 days now, because if we don't get much, because in actual reality, we feel that the first night we're studying them, they're studying us. Then the second night kind of explodes a little bit because now we've met each other.
You get comfortable.
So, right. And then the more time you go out there, the more stuff you'll get.
You only get one chance to make a good first impression.
Right.
We had a team come out a few months ago, and they did an investigation. And I watched the investigation, and I was like, why isn't anything happening? I was getting mad, yelling at the TV, do something, because it's like, we know you're there. Come on.
Right. Show off our place for us, please.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to hear. We can only do so much. We can't,
Yeah.
You got to do something. Got to hunt something. Come on. So, but it's definitely an active location, and a lot of people they take it they don't say take it for granted, but they underestimate. We've had a few teams come out and be like, oh, it's just a cabin, or it's just two houses. How haunted can it be? Well, let me tell you.
Find out.
You don't want to do that, because there is something in that house, in the Brick Rancher, that is fucked up. Sorry for the language.
That's all right.
It'll fuck with your mind. It is fucked with people's minds before. It has made people. It has made. I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to ruin the show.
No, that's fine.
But it has made people become different people, if that makes sense.
That's a good thing, though.
Violent people. And I think it could be one of the reasons. It could have been one of the reasons why. Contributing factor to what caused the young man to shoot his sister. There's a lot of stuff in that house, on that property, that's fucked up.
That's stained. It's
not cut and dry. Let me just say, there's a lot of stuff that. Yeah.
Well, we'll get more into the cabin on 360 when I get Dennis on, and we'll hit back on that. And I know you gotta get eaten pretty soon, so it's after 9:00 here. I don't want you to get the food get cold.
Yeah, well, I'm always put in the oven. It's fine, but I've got. It should be. We're good. Then RJ's eating, so I just haven't talked this much, so I'm losing my voice over here.
Yeah, that's
You're
okay.
talking that much.
But all this stuff is very interesting. I'm always interested in the locations. I've heard about the Cabin 360 for quite a few years already now.
Mhm.
And I followed some people on the East Coast, and Dennis knows that. I follow them. And it's just kind of, there's a lot of properties out there that you mentioned before, but the Cabin on 360, you don't hear too much out of. And that's why I want to help and get the word out for Cabin on 360, because I know my friends, Small Town Paranormal, will be very interested in that location, because it's like, okay, we've hit a lot of stuff in Wisconsin. We've hit a lot of stuff in Iowa. We're starting to venture that out that way to do different stuff in Indiana and
Yeah.
Ohio and getting out that towards that direction. So yeah, I'll be happy to promote as much as I can for you guys, and I'll just put up a little my thing up there in the corner and just kind of put it up there so that people are like, hey, what's that? Type of deal. So
Appreciate that. The East Coast has got a lot of cool locations, and again, it's like really early American. A lot of you have Native American spirits on our land as well. So it's not just Civil War; it's all throughout.
Yeah. Amityville's got a big
Yeah.
one there too with their stuff. So
Slaves, we have slave ghosts on our property as well. And who knows what happened since the Civil War? What
right.
ghosts are on it from there? Because the sex ghosts. I mean, how often do you get to talk to a Civil War soldier and a sex ghost in the same night? I mean, come on.
Right.
You can't beat that. Really? Come on.
Oh, that's funny. Usually at this point, how can people get a hold of you and and your radio network, and where's that all available at and stuff like that?
Okay, well, I am the host of the Freaking Awesome Paranormal Show. We are on the Rift Nation Network every Tuesday night at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Every Tuesday night we have the Freaking Awesome Paranormal Show. We stream live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to get in touch with me personally, you can friend refresh me, send me a message. Ryan C. Jones on Facebook, Ryan Jones on Instagram, and then of course I'm on TikTok and all those other apps as well. So definitely appreciate you letting me come on the show and talk to you and just shoot the shit for a while. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Definitely have you back on. One last thing. Do you have any promotions or anything coming up of that nature that you want to get out to promote?
We have a public investigation at the Cabin on 360 on August 2nd, Saturday, August 2nd. I believe it's $40 to investigate. And then if you want to stay an extra, we think investigate till 1:00 in the morning, starts at 7. And then if you want to stay a little bit longer or spend the night, it's an extra $40, and you can stay till 6:00 to investigate the rest of the night after the rest of the public goes home. Like I said, other than that, we've got an investigation coming up in September. I don't really know the date with the Wraith Chasers, but I think it's like middle of September sometime. And of course, every Tuesday night we're on here. Freak Out Some Paranormal Show, and that's about it. Again, thank you so much for letting me come on the show and talk to you. And $40, yeah, only 10 available for extra hours. So
okay, still 10 hours is a good amount of time. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of places only allow 8 sometimes. So
I mean, again, you basically paying $80 for an investigation that normally costs you $350. So
that's great
bad.
deal. Great deal. All right. Well, thank you, Ryan, for joining us tonight on the Paranormal Question of the Day show. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube under Paranormal Brew for Facebook, and then BB3 TV for YouTube, and also MGS Paranormal 4258 on YouTube. Next week, we have Hoosier Paranormal coming on as our guest, and tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about paranormal gear for about an hour from 8 to 9, and we'll have Jeep from Oklahoma Haunts Hunter on with us, and maybe some surprise gear makers on with us tomorrow. So,
That's gonna be a good show.
yeah, so we're going to work on that, and then stick around for coming up maybe in the fall. We'll get Ryan and Dennis on together, and if maybe sooner, who knows how it all works out, but we'll definitely get into talking about the cabin on 360. So for Ryan, I'm Darren, and I bid you adieu. So
Thank
long,
you.
everybody.
See you later.